So in this discussion, we'll be categorizing what are the different traits or what are the ideal characteristics of a strong investor or trader, right? In a very holistic way, both in the investing or in the life, we'll be discussing. And here, couple of things we will discuss. First of all, when you are trading in the market, right, or when you are investing into the market, have your direction towards money. So the reason I've been mentioning this about being in the trend, right? Always you have to write it down in your notes, or you have to write it down at a place where you can see every time. Trend is your friend. So couple of examples I'll give you. Sir, I have been observing some wonderful companies where the growth rate is very good, right? The company is intact, but the problem is when there is no wind flowing in that direction, or when technically it has not been very strong, so should I be there? The answer is no, right? So I'll give you a couple of examples also on stocks related and what are the alternatives you have to look at it also, because two ways of looking: one, being in the trend; two, a contrarian investing, right? So both of that we'll be discussing at this particular juncture, right? So when you are being towards the strength, your journey will be more smooth. And as I always say, when you're boarding a boat and when you keep the sails towards the direction of the wind, your journey will be much easier than going against the wind, right? Than going against. So now comes the topic of being in trend versus contrarian investing, right? Let me show you couple of examples. So if you see, I'll take a couple of charts, right? First, let's look on a longer time frame, right? Let's look on a longer time frame, maybe like a weekly scale, right? Between banking, between paints and defense, some 2-3 examples we'll take. So let's say in the banking space, right? Everyone are aware. If I just ask you to call out some names, either in the public sector or in the private sector. Yes, private sector, you tell me about ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, right? Kotak Mahindra, Axis, like that. Private sector, maybe an SBI, right? You'll be coming out with these are the top candidates for me, right? So if I look on a weekly, or even if I go to a monthly, let's look at HDFC Bank, right? Let's look at HDFC Bank. So what is happening in the chart, right? What is happening in the chart? The present levels, which is at 1,440 levels, is almost from November 2020, right? So almost from the last 3 years, right, or even 3.2 years, there has not been any movement, right? Almost I would call it as around 4 years. There has not been any movement in the entire stock, right? Stock. So now someone says, sir, this is a wonderful bank. There has been a merger between HDFC Bank. So there can be a lot of things which will be evolving and it will be benefiting. Yes, HDFC, the entire customer base, right? HDFC Bank will take its benefits on a longer term, right? So definitely it can do well. There are a lot of things which will come in its advantage. But when the trend is not in that direction, right? When the trend is not in the direction, as we say, trend is your friend. So you have to decide, even though it's a qualitatively good company, the numbers are also not very bad, but the price and volume wise, it has not been strong. We should avoid being in stocks which are not in the direction of trend. Similarly, right? Kotak Mahindra Bank, as such, if you see the management also, a very strong management, right? A very strong management and a stable management, right? Stable management. The levels which we are at right now is almost from 2019, right? 2019. And the same kind of a discussion, if someone is there in our community for the last couple of months or even for the last couple of quarters, we have discussed that we should not be there. But there are contrarian investors, right? I'll come to contrarian separately after this discussion. So the bank wise, no issues. Fundamentally, on the quarterly growth wise is okay. No immediate red flags like any auditing issues or even the CFOs changing. No immediate red flags. But still, the price and volume is not so strong, we will not be here. And parallelly, instead of these, sir, I will be looking at State Bank of India, right? So this has done wonderfully well. So in the last 3 years, right? In the last 3.5 years, right? In the last 3.5 years, this has given extraordinary returns, right? Even if you see from the same period, like 21, if you are considering, right? From almost 336 levels to 783 levels, right? If you just take your scale, even from April 21, right? It's almost a 136% profit, right? So if you ask me, sir, SBI versus HDFC Bank, is HDFC Bank a pathetic bank with respect to SBI? The answer is definitely no, and no one would agree with it. But when being an investor, that's why I say, you can even note down, right? You have to remember this. Do not fall in love with the stocks, right? Do not fall in love with the stocks. Just date the companies, right? Whenever they are not exhibiting some good strength, it can be a good company, but it is not a good stock in the perspective of investor or in the perspective of trader, right? You can look at State Bank of India, you can take Canara Bank, Maharashtra Bank, right? These have done wonderfully well with respect, or even in the private space, your ICICI Bank, right? There are many companies which have done wonderfully well than a good company which is not in trend, right? Similarly, maybe if you look at Asian Paints, right? Asian Paints, I'm sure in the paints sector, a very good company, right? A very good company. It has the market leader, and in India, right? In India, paint has a lot of potential, right? Paints business. And Asian Paints, the kind of a network it is distributed within India, right? In the kind of a branches or the penetration it has is like phenomenal, right? Is like phenomenal. So it will always bounce. But just considering that tagline, this is very strong company, a lot of network connectivity, so it will always bounce back. So I will be there. I'm okay. Like all the people who would have thought like that, who are there still from 21 or even 22, last 1 year, 2 years, 2.5 years, even 3 years, flat return. The present levels, which is at 2825, is almost from Jan 2021, right? Last 3 years, nil returns. So you may consider, you would be thinking that, sir, it is not loss, it is just break even. There is something called as opportunity cost. What do you mean by opportunity cost? Opportunity cost means instead of getting stuck here in these investments, it's better you move to a happening stock or a happening sector where your money will work for you rather than being stuck for the 3 years, right? That's the opportunity miss you had, opportunity cost you had, right? Similarly, maybe if you look at defense, right? Like the long-term companies, if you see, right? Solar Industries, yes, a very decent company, right? Even for a longer term. And if you look at the kind of a growth it is having, right? Into the defense category, into the explosive category, it has its good market capitalization and a good order book, right? So it's a good long-term sustaining company. And even this week has given a very good breakout, right? Has given a very good breakout. Parallelly, I'll tell you one more company which has even more vintage or even equal vintage, even more vintage than this company, right? MTAR Technology. If you come and ask me, sir, yes, this company is a wonderful company, more than 53 years of experience, right? 5 decades of experience. So it is losing out its strength in the last couple of months. So what should I do, right? So definitely this is a very good company, a good order book it has, right? But when the direction is not very strong, and as you see here, right, even in October 23, when it has reached its support level, right, again in Jan 24, or even again in February, right, you have to reduce your position or even move out. It's okay you re-enter, right? It's okay you re-enter again, right? You re-enter again. It's a strong company in the long term, in the defense wise, but do not be when there is no trend. Now talking about contrarian investing, right? Sir, I normally pick up companies where they are at a lower levels so that they'll be moving ahead. But my question to you is, rather than finding more companies which are at a very lower price and waiting for a very long period for it to bounce back, be in the trend. And contrarian investor is what thinks opposite to the market. It's not bad to think like a contrarian, but in the entire portfolio wise, have a limitation on the exposure, right? For example, sir, my portfolio is 10 lakhs portfolio, right? Maximum 10 percentage or 8 percentage. You look at positions which are contrarian. Maybe like out of a 10 lakhs stocks portfolio, 1 lakh, you can look into contrarian investing. And that also, instead of entering when it is continuously falling, do not, when it is averaging down, right? When it is moving down, do not average or do not try to catch a falling knife. Rather, wait for it to pick up strength. For example, MTAR or when HDFC, Kotak, right? Axis, there are like Asian Paints, like there are many companies, when there is a revival in the price and volume strength, participate there, right? Participate there rather than only having the belief of that fundamentals related, right? So I hope you have got a clarity on trend related, contrarian investing related, and thinking contrarian is not bad, but restrict it to a percentage, right? Because we do not love to hold a company which is in losses, or we do not love to hold a company which is flat for a very, very longer period, right? Very longer period. So this is very, very important, guys, right? Trend is something we have to correct when it is showing a reversal or when it is showing weakness, right? And what I would always say, instead of thinking about making more money, forget about making money and don't chase money. Rather, money is a byproduct, right? Rather, money is a byproduct, right? Sir, I wanted a lot of profits. If you have your system, right? Or if you focus on being your best, you focus on improvising your knowledge, right? You focus about how I can make my system more better. And the truth about money is you get the knowledge, you get the experience, right? It's not only about knowledge, you have to be in the market, right? You have to get that experience, right? Then you get that skill. As you get the experience, as you get that life understanding, you always iterate, you scale your process, then you get the skill, and that is how you make money, right? That is how you make money. Third, think in decades, not in years. Sir, I wanted to build a wealthy portfolio. I wanted to do it in 1 year, 2 years. I wanted to do in 6 months, 3 months, right? There is no quick money. There is no get rich quick scheme. If there is a get rich quick scheme, you will be getting poor also very, very fast, right? So think on a very longer term. And as there is a very famous saying, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you're able to make it invested for a very longer time. You're able to grow your wealth and pass it on to your next generations, right? So always think in decades, not in years. And just a quick rule, a 10% rule, right? Sir, I wanted to take a loan, right? Any depreciable asset, right? Any depreciable asset, maybe your car or even your home, anything you're going, where over the years there is a depreciation associated with it, do not cross 10% of your net worth, right? Net worth means your assets minus your liabilities, right? Whatever is your net worth, all your assets, the investments, the deposits, whatever you have, right? Your gold, everything. And the liabilities, if you minus it, 10% of it maximum only can be invested there, right? So if you are taking too much of an exposure, right? If you're taking too much of an exposure there, I always believe, and I can always vouch for it, leading a debt-free life or having a mindset of being free is always the ultimate thing of financial freedom, right? Do not expose yourself into too much of a debt just for the sake of interest benefit or principal benefit. Maybe to that extent, if you're in the old tax regime, in the new tax regime, it's not applicable, right? If in the old tax regime like that, maximum you can be there, but always aspire to lead a debt-free life. That gives you a peace of mind, right? That gives you a peace of mind, right? And there are people, right? This is a different topic, a very expanded topic. Sir, I wanted to lend some money to my friend, or I wanted to write a guarantee to my friend. Someone is taking a loan, is having some financial problems in his credit card or in his records. So the bank or the financial institution has asked someone to be a guarantor, a surety. Don't go for it, right? It's a humble request, someone who are from non-finance background. Please remember, whoever is signing as a guarantee or a surety, your entire financial assets will be tied to that loan. As you are signing, there is a bond also you'll be signing. Until and unless whatever amount you think you are going to lend or you are signing as a guarantee or surety, if you're okay that even if you lose that money, you can live with it or your family will not be impacted, then only, just for the sake of, sir, it's not that, sir, is my best friend, right? I have to help him. Help to the extent where you can handle it, right? Because it's not you that are being involved, you are risking your entire family, right? So do not go overboard and try to, in this kind of a present scenario, right? Do not overboard yourself. Even when you are lending, lend the amount which you are willing to forego if something goes bad, right? Sir, I have a very small savings and out of that I have lent 50% to my friend. What if he does not give? It's not that he is bad. If he's not in a position to give it back, you will go bankrupt, right? So don't do that and live modestly, right? I know he is one of the superhero or a role model for many of us, Mr. Warren Buffett, right? Lives a frugal life, a modest life, and that's the way of it, right? Have a differentiation between a need and a want, right? I always want an upgraded mobile. I always wanted an upgraded car. I always wanted an upgraded lifestyle, right? So you have to fit what is ideal for you and save more, invest more, right? So it's good that we get good profits, but to become wealthy, it's about the initial years, how much you save, how much you invest, how much corpus you are building, right? That makes a person really wealthy. It's not about only the profits, right? You have to save, right? That kind of a saving should be there and investing and live a modest life, right? Lastly, consider your savings at zero, right? Which means whenever you have been thinking that, sir, I have some very good funds which I have developed in the form of investments or in the form of emergency fund or a contingency fund, right? And I think I can afford more for a vacation, right? I can afford more for some luxurious items, right? Always at the back of the mind, you should think like, yes, I have like no savings at all. So I have to keep building, right? In the initial years of someone starting their career, right? Or in the investments, focus more on saving. That's why there is one affirmation also, right? Every day I intend to add money into my investing kitty, right? There is one affirmation, right? Every day I'll be adding. So what does that mean? You are looking at every possibility of how you can save money, right? In the form of investments like that, right? So the more savings, the more you do it for a very longer time, that is how you get benefited, right? That's how you get benefited, and that's how a very wealthy portfolio will be generated, right? So these are some of the characteristics which should be within, and these are something no one can force or no one can instill within you. Just try to clean within yourself certain mistakes which we are doing and evolve as a better person, which will also lead or which will also show you a path in your investments as well, right? So I hope everyone loved this discussion. If you have loved it, type it as loved in the below, right? Thank you.